Hi, thanks for watching today's video. I'm Brian, the Finance Ninja. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get to it. Today, we are going to talk about the huge impact of Intel's latest product delay and the ramifications it will have, and how it will benefit AMD. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Intel. I don't know what to say anymore. Mistake after mistake after mistake. So, let's talk about today's disaster. Get early access to my videos, instant trade notifications, access to my spreadsheets, and more by joining my Patreon. The link is in the description. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Oh man, Intel, what are you doing? Intel keeps shooting themselves in the foot again and again. First they let AMD back in the race, then they started having production issues. They're on what now? 14 nanometers plus times a million? And now delays. If you want an example of a company giving away an unassailable lead, look no further than Intel. It's embarrassing right now, and kind of sad. Good day today for AMD, up 2.8%. This is because of Intel's news debacle. Let's get into it. First, a little history. Intel was the king of server CPU market, nearly 100% market share. AMD's market share was virtually zero, if not literally zero. Due to Intel's missteps, AMD has clawed their way back to a market share north of 10%. Just look at AMD's net income over a 10-year span ending in 2018. Bankruptcy was imminent. AMD's financials were terrible. They were a goner. They were going to be bankrupt. And then, with the release of Zen and AMD's consistent execution, they clawed their way back into the race. Intel also lost the performance lead. In nearly every benchmark, the Ryzen 9 5900X is categorically a faster pick while also producing less heat with lower power requirements. If you're stuck between the two, simply stop reading here and grab yourself a Ryzen 9 5900X. If you can find one, of course. I mean, this is embarrassing. And then today's news. So, what's the new news? Intel said that Sapphire Rapids, its new Xeon server chip, will go into production in 2022 rather than the end of this year as promised. This is a disaster. Chief Executive Officer Pat Gelsinger has pledged to return Intel to a dominant position in computer processors and reassert the company's once unassailable lead in semiconductor manufacturing after multi-year delays in the introduction of new technology forced it to cede leadership to rivals. Gelsinger, who promised this new chip would arrive this year as recently as April, just a couple of months ago, last week replaced the head of Intel's server chip unit in an executive shakeup. This is an unmitigated disaster. Today's news will have huge ramifications for Intel's data center clients. The data center is by far the most important client that both AMD and Intel have. They are simply massive, and these products have huge margins. You do not want to upset these clients. The problem is Intel's data center clients were getting their supply order set up, purchase orders in place for the date that Intel said it would ship the product. The same goes for server manufacturers. They have orders in place for motherboards, etc. They have manufacturing lines they are setting up. This will cost them billions. Why is this important? As you can see, one of AMD's issues before Lisa Su joined the company was execution. AMD was consistently missing deadlines. The customer's confidence was shaken. AMD was nearly bankrupt. Now AMD is executing flawlessly and Intel is the company missing deadlines. For semiconductor companies, the key to their customers is trust. That trust is built over several years, if not decades. As the trust builds, the customers will incorporate more of your products into more and more of their computers. The last thing a semi-manufacturer wants to do is to put cracks into that trust. And product delays are huge destroyers of trust. These delays cost customers money and time. From delayed rollouts of their products, even down to suppliers like motherboard manufacturers. If they can't trust you to deliver your products on time, then they will start looking elsewhere. Lucky for Intel's clients, Intel has a scrappy competitor with a better product in this category. Enter AMD. AMD has been executing since Lisa Su took over and looks to continue to do so for the foreseeable future. AMD also has a better product, faster, more energy efficient. That's why AMD is gobbling up market share. Here's an article from CNN Business in March 2020. Remember, this is back in 2020, so back then, Intel's lack of execution and AMD's flawless execution has yet to play out in terms of market share AMD is going to gain in the coming years, which is currently in progress. I wouldn't be surprised if they captured half the data center market, according to this article. Execution is huge. Here's an excellent article from an Investor's Business Daily. I highly suggest reading it. One of Lisa Su's biggest priorities is execution. She knows that AMD needs to build that customer trust to be successful in the long term. I do not know if Intel's new CEO realizes this, but for their sake, I hope he does. What is the result of this fiasco? AMD is going to continue to win product wins from clients at Intel's expense. AMD will continue to gain server market share. Customer trust in Intel will wane. Intel needs to start acting like an underdog, not a lazy gorilla waiting to be trounced by a smaller company. Intel's missteps are turning into an avalanche, and I do not know if their new CEO is up to the task. Time will tell, but I would not be an Intel shareholder right now. To end this clip, I'm going to show you a video on the resurrection of AMD. Enjoy.
5 years ago, Advanced Micro Devices was in trouble.
Ooh, AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, very painful day for this stock.
AMD it's still just surviving, but
yeah, surviving.
Not by a lot.
The chipmaker was bleeding money, drowning in debt, facing a possible bankruptcy, and its stock was trading around $2 a share. Lisa Su then became the company's first female CEO, faced with leading a daunting turnaround.
I was really excited to become CEO, but of course, a little bit scared like anyone taking on a new job.
After getting a doctorate in engineering at MIT and nearly 2 decades in the semiconductor industry, Su was ready for the challenge. She laid out a plan to focus on microchips for gaming consoles, data centers, and platforms like virtual reality.
The most important thing for us as we thought about what AMD would look like back in 2014 is what are we good at? And what we are good at is making high-performance microprocessors. And that meant actually saying that we weren't going to do some things. At the time, mobile was a very, very exciting field, but it wasn't what we were fundamentally good at. And so we really focused on our core. And I know that sounds simple, but actually it takes a long time to build a sustainable product roadmap.
That's the thing about the semiconductor industry. Developing a new product takes years. AMD bet that the products it was developing today would be a hit with customers years down the road.
The first and probably the biggest bet is on the future generation of data centers. So it has room for 2 of our servers. We're all generating tons and tons of data every day. Like from all of your devices, we have all of this data. And the truth is, we're actually using just a fraction of it because we don't have enough computing to process all of this. And so we are building the largest and most powerful computers to really process all of that data and make sure that we're making good decisions. And on the other end of this spectrum, we're also very, very heavy into gaming. We cover every aspect of gaming, from PCs to game consoles to cloud gaming. The most important thing for us in selecting, where do we target our products is where do we see the market going. We honestly have to look 5 years out and say, what does the world need from tech in that time frame?
It's a long process and it's a long design cycle, so it takes a lot of anticipation and it takes a lot of skill to hit that mark 5 years before you even know what the market will look like. You have to anticipate that. AMD is in a position right now where it's done a very good job of anticipating where it had to be in performance in competition with Intel and NVIDIA.
Su's bets have paid off. AMD has taken market share from its top rival Intel, and it's been the top performing stock on the S&P 500 for the last 2 years.
It's a very competitive space. It's a very high stakes, high reward place. And our goal is to continue to make the right bets year after year. So I'm very proud of what we've done over the last 5 years, but I would also say we're just at the very, very beginning of what we can do. And the next 5 years will be more exciting than the last 5.
Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.